Now we have a fourth brand new feature in the data table. The first feature is that, so while earlier when we used to create the data table, we used to only create from the scratch, but now you can import from CSV. So if you have data in somewhere in the database or a table or your Google Sheet, you can export as a CSV and import it over here. So let me show you a demo. That I have a one table over here with a name and occupation. The name must be very much familiar with the people who have watched Hera Fairy. But yeah, now if I want to import this data inside the data table, what I can do, I can come over here and export it as a CSV file. Once I have exported it, so I can come over here and import CSV and drag and drop that similar file over here. Okay, and now I can give some name, proper naming over here, and both the column will be visible over here. Now if there was another column with some numeric field, that column would be visible as a numeric field over here. Okay, so once that is done, I can create the table and you can see all the entries which were there in CSV are properly visible over here with the ID created at and updated at field added by the n8n. And this column are very much important because this is the ideal norm of the IT world, where we need the some column which is a unique identifier for each and every entry and created and updated, so that we come to know that when was this entry created and updated. So by default, since we are importing this data, both the values are same over here. Okay, and another second feature is that now we can export this data as well. So earlier there was no way to export the data what we have written inside the n8n. That was a big missing point, because if I want to export what I have generated while I'm running the workflow, but now I can export the data and I can import this data in the Google Sheet or a table or somewhere else. That's a very good advantage over here. And now the another two main features are, if I go back and create some workflow, so now we have a two main feature which we can see is that we have a row exist and a row does not exist. So these two nodes were missing earlier. Now they have added two new node over here. How does this thing work? If I come over here and if I have the manual trigger, after that let me add the data table. Now let's check if the row exists or not, and also let me check if the row does not exist. Okay, so I'll add that, and now let's try the entry. Now let me open this. Data table is name and any condition if you want to add. So let's take any condition, and if you want to check. Okay, so I'll execute this row over here. So currently we don't have anything. Okay, let me add a condition over here that we want a name. One name was Raju. Okay, and let me come over here and let's have this if row does not exist. Let me add the same data table over here. Let me add the condition of that the name as Lakshit. Okay, let me add the Raju only, and now let me execute this workflow. So now as you can see, it is passing in the one of the entry and it's failing in the one of the entry. Okay, and why it is passing in the one of the entry? Because this entry exists in the data table and it's failing over here because this entry does not exist. So earlier, if you want to do this thing, what we used to do, so first we used to do the data table. First we need to get the row. Okay, so if I come over here and I can come over here and have this name value. If I want to implement the if it does not exist one, I can come over here, name Raju. Okay, and then I can have this part over here, if node over here. Okay, where I can check does the value exist or not. Let me come, let me enter this. Let me take the name string, does this exist or not. This was the whole flow which we used to do earlier. If you want this implementation, it would go in the false branch over there. So now they have made it easier by adding these two new actions, using which we can now directly use a single node instead of two nodes over here. So I hope you understand what 4 new features they have brought with this new data table update. First, we can import the entries while creating the data table. Second, we can export the data table entry so that you can use the same data inside the A table, inside other database, or in your Google Sheet. And 2, we have got two new actions where we can check if the row exists or if row does not exist. I hope you like the video. If you like the video, please press the like button. We'll meet in the next video. Till then, take care.